Ladies and gentlemen, do not adjust your set. I am Headman Cos. Welcome to another video. Welcome to another story. This one comes from my child. Again, comes from my childhood. Now, if you guys have followed the channel for a good amount of time, you guys know that I absolutely love racing games. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter if it's like motorcycles, bicycles, cars, ships, planes. Like, I love racing games. And you know, when it comes to the games period, you know, the average person, including myself, would get a game, back, physical games by, going out to the store and buying it, maybe going to a friend's house, asking to borrow it, shit like that. But in this case, This had to be one of the weirdest ways I've ever gotten a game without paying for it. Where it was an average day outside, I was balling up, minding my own business, when I walk over. Well, I'm walking, towards my house, and as I'm walking along the street, I wound up stepping on something. It turns out to be a disc, and then as I look down to see what kind of disc it is, I noticed that it's a video game. And if you guys aren't familiar with this game, it was called Suzuki Superbikes. And honestly, it had to be the first ever motorcycle racing game that I ever played. Like, the first ever motorcycle exclusive racing game that I've played. That was well, period, because other games like Midnight Club that features motorcycles, but is mainly a car racing game. But I digress. So anyways, I step on it, I pick it up, and I see it's a game, and of course it has a lot of scratches on it, but needless to say, I still try to clean it off a bit and give it a shot. And before y'all actually know, I didn't use the fucking toothpaste method, the toothpaste method. Spoiler alert, that shit doesn't work, and it never did. I've tried it multiple times. That shit doesn't work. Then if you've ever read the manual to consoles or even games, don't judge me. It'll say to clean the disc with a slightly damp cotton cloth, basically, like a sock or something. Yeah, that shit don't work either. What I've used, minus one of those machines that actually does it, I used honestly, I took like a little bit of bleach. I mean not bleach, rubbing alcohol, like a tiny amount, and then poured that in. Like, honestly, it was like it had to be at least an ounce of of rubbing alcohol, and then I filled the rest of the cup with water. Mix that around, and then I dip then I dip my sock in there, and then I rubbed it around, and you know. It wasn't perfect, but I'd say it got the job done good enough. So, anyways, after I cleaned it off as much as I could, I then popped it in my PS2, and it ran perfectly. There was no problems at all. The loading time, the loading time was normal. Gameplay, there was no issues. The music ran perfectly. It didn't cut off at all. You know, I was actually surprised with how smooth it ran, despite how many scratches it had. And now, I never beat the game, but I did. But I did have fun playing. It was a pretty good game. And honestly, if I had the chance, I'd definitely play it again. Hell, if I had a PS2, I'd definitely get the game again and then do a playthrough for y'all. Real talk. Because yeah, it was fun. But I will admit, the biggest reason why I never beat it is just because, unfortunately, because I had, Midnight Club and Need for Speed, both of those, because I'm so dedicated to those games, Suzuki Superbikes unfortunately couldn't keep up. And, and the thing is, and again, it's not that it was a bad game. It wasn't. It's just, and it's just, Need for Speed, and then I took priority, and I was more hooked on that than I was on anything else. But nowadays, given how I like, with certain games I like to be a completionist, to at least beat the game. Not so much get 100%, but at least beat the game. I would definitely be committed to beating the game, if I were to ever get the game back. And yeah. And as far as Suzuki motorcycles themselves, I'm definitely not in the dark about it, thanks to Midnight Club, because they had a lot of, well, not a lot, but they had a good amount of Suzuki motorcycles, and just did motorcycle racing period. So I wasn't completely in the dark, but I think that also helped add to my enjoyment of the game. So there's definitely that. So okay, so I definitely can't complain there. And before I end this off, I will end off saying this. Like, depending on how many scratches or shit that you'll find on a game, honestly, don't be so. I learned mainly because of this game, because it had a lot of scratches on it. Don't be fooled by those. Don't get me wrong, there will be games that have tons of scratches and be unplayable. But this game right here, it had tons of scratches on it, but it was playable. Completely playable. More than playable, And I was able to, have some fun times with it. Hell, I even had a few head-to-head games with the family. you know. So that made for some extra fun times, yo. Real talk. But that's gonna do it for this video. I definitely want to thank each and every one of y'all for taking the time. I need busy schedule to come and chill with your boy. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the like button. Comment if you feel like it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. And as always, Struggle Vision Productions, I am the Hitman Cos. And if you see me coming, run.